Good morning to the beautiful people out there. This is IT Live, and it is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Guess what, guys? We need to talk about the game that happened. Is this a shocker? Probably. We did a great rewatch yesterday. That was a ton of fun. We got a lot of views, a lot of comments. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that, but we're still going to go pick through some things, give you our thoughts. But guess where you should go before we do that to hear all of our thoughts all of the time inside Texas.com, guys. You can join for $1 for your first week. Get a complimentary year to The Athletic. The analysis, recruiting news, team news never, ever stops. I'm joined by Eric Nalin and Coach Dub. We are going to talk over our kind of keys to the game. Did they happen? Did they not? Spoiler alert, they didn't. And then also some 3 potential changes. And I've broken down every pass play minus the final drive. And I will give you the dispassionate analysis, the non-sexy version of what I believe actually occurred. So that'll be a fun aspect. Eric, let's start off with your 5 keys to the game. I thought you were pretty good on nailing what you wanted to happen and what did not happen. And led to the loss. So let's talk there. Good morning, everybody in the chat. What's up, guys? Okay. So this is how number 1 Texas can beat number 3 Ohio State on the road.
It was a simpler time.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We were all so innocent back then.
Yeah.
All right. Key 1 was have the better quarterback. Ooh.
Nice.
What happened? So first things first, Arch had a couple of starts. In those starts, he looked good. The mechanics were sound. He had composure. He's running out to UTSA and flipping it out at the last second to Bolden. There's command. The mechanics make sense. He's not getting off his midline. This is a big thing you'll see. He starts to contort his body, and he'll sidearm and do this. If you listen to quarterback coaches, your body has a midline. If you start to fall to one side, what does your body automatically do when you get scared? It sticks an arm up and counterbalances you, right? So anytime the body goes one way, the body will naturally counterbalance. When you're keeping your arm tight like a quarterback, now you're fighting against yourself, and you're getting this weird downforce when you don't need it. That was a common thing. We didn't see that last year. We did not expect, maybe the quarterback is nervous. We didn't expect this level of breakdown. So in saying being the first-time starter, I thought he was cool, calm, collected. So that was a big difference too. So, Eric, what did you notice about the quarterbacks there?
Well, yeah, a lot of people were like, well, how come Julian Sayin was more composed in his first start? Well, it's a lot easier at home, right? I mean, the crowd noise is entirely different. I think the expectations for Julian Sayin are a whole lot different than they were for Arch Manning. He didn't live up to those expectations. I've never seen his mechanics break down like that. That was really alarming and surprising. Both offensive coordinators or head coaches went into the game saying, hey, we're going to manage it and play good defense. And Ohio State had the better game manager. That's what it all boils down to. I'm seeing a lot of stuff already in the comments here. This game is just entirely different if Arch hits a couple of if he hits a second read a time or two. They left a lot of points on the board, at least 14. I don't know. I'm not nearly as worried about Sark. A lot of people are talking about Sark. It just comes down to Arch didn't play even average. If he played average, Texas wins that game relatively easily.
Yeah. You want me to discuss that part, Eric?
So yeah, go for it. I mean, that's a good opener for you breaking down the tape.
Okay, guys. So this is my spreadsheet that I spend Sunday on. I have everything besides the final drive. These are all pass plays. What I'm noticing that's happening in the media space, a lot of guys are doing. I thought ESPN during a halftime of Miami and Notre Dame, they pick 3 plays, right, where Patricia is disguising, and they're like, Patricia, masterful, disguised every play. I track disguises, guys, right here in this column. If we look, there's a lot of N's here representing no. So when it comes down to every pass that occurred, he disguised 28% of the time. Yeah. We're seeing selection bias. People are picking the plays in which he disguised on, which were fun and were effective and got Arch off of his game plan. Don't get me wrong. And then they're saying that guys, there's 37 pass attempts. Some were penalties, some were scrambles, but we tried to throw the ball 37 times. Okay, we can't just select the times there were disguised and then say that's all that occurred. That's a big factor here. So really, if you look at every pass, they disguise 28% of the time, and they're in cover 3 50% of those times. So overall, so a lot of the disguise is smoke and mirrors, but they end up in cover 3 no matter what type of thing. And Sark figures that out in the second half, and that's why you see us start to attack the flats with quick stuff outside, staying in front of the defense. A weakness to cover 3 is the flats. Then we start seeing an emphasis on these little sit-down curls, which is the seams of cover 3, which is a weakness. You see it to Wingo later where they get that big completion. So Sark figures it out in the second half that, like, there's a lot of bells and whistles here, but we're ending up in cover 3. The problem is Arch will put it in the dirt. Arch will oversail it, those kind of things. So we can talk about these big, like, 3rd and 12 disguises. The reality is they're not disguising on this 2nd and 5 where Arch throws it to the feet of the receiver and you could get a first down. So that's been a major factor here. Let's not sensationalize this whole game. Sometimes the scheme was wrong. Sometimes the receivers are wrong. Sometimes Arch was wrong. And they're in different combinations throughout the game.
Yeah.
You can't point to one factor and say, this is why. Okay. So we have to have nuance. I know people love nuance, but it is nuanced.
It's just a lot. It's just a lot easier to say Patricia owns Sark and then get emotional about it and irate and start saying outlandish shit like, you know, he's the wrong coach or he can't win the big game or something like that. It's just,
oh man.
So that's what actually occurred on every pass play. So the guys, I've seen great film breakdowns. You're not seeing 32 plays. You're seeing 5 or 6, and they show you the exciting ones because that makes for better content. But
correct.
Avoid just parroting that narrative because it's actually incorrect when you break down the pass game.
Right.
I'll take the $10.
I'm not going to say much about this comment because he just gave us $10.
I was going to say, Eric,
so this is kind of what I'm talking about here.
Sark won't win a chip until he adds wrinkles to his O. OSU keyed in on his tendencies. They did do that with good stuff in the crosser, disguising middle of the field. Weren't wrong once. Film showed it. I'm looking at Sark intently here in the playoffs with talent, right read wins. So what happens is earlier in the game, we're doing a lot of crossers and end breakers, and they did a really good job of making the middle of the field money through cover 3 and Tampa 2. You also notice if a corner on one side or a safety on one side, if their receiver goes underneath, they immediately assume a deep over is coming back, and they sit there, literally turn their bodies and wait on it. Yep. They do it really well in the first half. Sark figures that out in the second half. He starts targeting that, and it works. But then whenever the scheme's right, then Arch just misses the throw, right? And so it's like there's things like this where it's like it gets right, but we break it somehow. So I'm not mad at Patricia. It was a great game plan. They did a lot of NFL meta. It was a lot of penny front, showing 5 to get the offensive line to go man-to-man and run, and then dropping back into cover 3. It was fun, but it's not as crazy as it sounds when you look through everything.
No. It's similar game plan, Patriots versus Falcons, when they played 2017 after the Super Bowl. They got a clip of Belichick say, hey, it's going to be a bunch of crosses and breaking routes from backside. If something goes away, something's coming back the other way. So the tendency part of that is true because that's Sark's MO, but he did adjust to it as well, you know, and went another direction. He didn't run the exact same thing in the second half.
Yep.
I mean, everybody in the world is running mesh. If you stop mesh, did you figure out Sark or did you just kind of figure out football in general?
Yeah, they figured out the deep over, like the post over, which is the staple play. But once again, Sark didn't keep spamming that in the second half. He did adjust.
Yes.
Another thing that I kept hearing, and honestly, I believed it too, because it felt like this. This is weird. I keep hearing, and the announcers kept doing it. Sark's not running any motion. Sark runs motion on 75% of his plays. They're just not these dynamic cross-field motions. He's running these little cheat motions, quick motions to the same side, but there's motions on 75% of these plays. It is weird, though. It didn't feel like that. And that's why watching back over the tape has been really helpful because I would have had wrong narratives in my head. But there was motion. It just wasn't a ton of big stuff. And I think, hey, that's young quarterback on the road. I don't want Arch constantly, hey, come here, with big stuff. He's just quick little moves. So there were a ton of motion as well. So this game just has really weird narratives around it right now. All right, Eric, anything you want to address in these past comments? He's not the wrong guy, but can we talk about his tendency to walk away from points?
Well, let's roll that one into the red zone conversation we're about to have.
All right, let's do it. All right, so a big factor here, red zone efficiency. Eric agrees. He's a good man. He says we're not saying red area. I agree with you 100% on that. But you said, look, man, we need to be able to score in the red zone. That didn't happen. What occurred there?
Yeah, they lost the red zone battle just in general. Ohio State had that one on fourth down. Amazingly, Ohio State, nobody's criticizing Ohio State for going for it there instead of taking the points. They were able to punch it in. And if Arch goes in or Sark probably call, I think the play call was terrible. They were very unlikely to punch that one from Arch, just the way the alignment was.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that call. If he dives in, everybody's going, oh, great, brave call. But I think that's just the right call in that situation. 1 foot to get a touchdown. And then if you don't get it, they've got to go 99 yards against a really good defense with a freshman quarterback. I get it, man. But people change just by whether or not it works. There's no actual, there's no principle behind it. It's if it works, great. If it doesn't, then it was dumb.
That one particularly bothered me, not because of the play call, but because of how Ohio State played it. They had 7 guys in front of our 3 guys there. Pre-snap, turn, timeout, check, something like that. I thought would have been better. But when we're talking about the holistic red zone, I would be mad at in previous years. I liked all the play calls. I liked the quarterback draw. I didn't mind running it in the red zone. The only play I specifically had issue with was the sneak, not because of that, but because of how they lined up to it. But also, man, field goals here, this felt Herculean. When they got up, when they scored 14, it felt like Everest. You had to score this game, man. That was the big thing too. So I'm not mad once again on going for 4th downs and trying to get touchdowns just because of how this game personality was. Because, they get up 14, it feels like it's over. 7 feels like it's over. So that was a big factor for me too when it came to red zone efficiency. But I get that this is a carryover conversation from the past 2 years. So we're not just talking about this instant. It feels like
right. And that goes into the 3 fixes I think we're going to talk about later. But I just when I saw that play, the way it was lined up, I knew it. I didn't know, but I had felt strongly that he wasn't going to get in. And they just have never been good at bully ball. And Sark said, we'll bring in we should have gone timeout, brought in our big package and ran the same thing. I'm thinking, no, I don't think that would have been it either, because then they would have done the same thing. But even when they have Tavondre Sweat back there and Byron Murphy and their big boys, that failed a number of times too. That's just, I think Sark needs to rework his whole inside the 5 approach or goal line approach.
Yeah. Minimize self-inflicted wounds.
Yikes.
Dude, it's not that we get penalties, it's the timing of penalties. This penalty from Baker that comes later here that turns a 3rd and 5, which is already scary with Arch, into a 3rd and 10. It's just and then don't get me wrong, Arch throws a touchdown to Livingston, but it's just you have to look at not the outcome,
The probability of that occurring was low.
Yeah, is low. And so it's just and even on defense, the Simmons penalty is really poorly timed. Yeah. It's LaFau can get a safety, but penalty. It's not just we're getting penalties.
Muhammad didn't the Muhammad one? Didn't they score off that? The PI.
Oh.
They scored on
the first down. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, they score off that. Yeah, and so it's just, but that's the problem. Is not just the penalties. God, man, we do them at the worst times. So that's the tough part of the self-inflicted wound aspect as well.
One turnover and then in the game, Arch threw it was ill-advised pass, but probably not a great route either. That was another wound, but the whole reason I picked Ohio State to win last year was just Texas didn't play clean enough to earn my pick, and I had the same concerns going into this game with the, especially a new O-line. Brandon Baker definitely played like it was his first start in a hostile environment, but just the other penalties were, the timing terrible.
All right, so Eric's sitting at 3 for 3 so far. What we got here?
He was
2 for 2.
Okay, and then we got win the opening script. This is one we thought we would see too, man. With a full offseason, Sark normally comes out with something, and he really deals. No, that did not occur.
Well, I'm not sure we ever got to see him, play out the script. When you saw that first pass to DeAndre Moore, it looked like a javelin straight into the ground. I think we all went, uh-oh, what's going on here? That was not a miss that you think is just, the next one will be right on target. And it was kind of a foreshadowing of what was to come. Yeah, I don't know that we got to see the opening script like we would have. They ran the ball pretty well out of the gate. I think some people are saying that they were just given free rushing yards. I don't think they were given free rushing yards, but I don't think they maximized runs either. But we did see them move the ball on the ground a little bit in the first couple drives. Obviously, they couldn't capitalize.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing, people are like, when they get mad at Sark's scheme, and then first off, the first half, Arch was struggling, so the scheme's going to look bad no matter what. But also, I think Sark was surprised too, guys. Like the fans were surprised. Sark was really like, "What is going on?" And so then you have to adjust and try to calm your quarterback down.
Can we talk about this real quick? Just because I've seen Arch Manning throw a lot of passes, not just in games, but practice. Practice easier to keep your mechanics in line, but I've never seen any of that stuff in my life.
Me neither.
And you can go to all the offseason hype that obviously I was a part of the hype because I truly do believe in him and still do believe in him. If you go back and watch a lot of the tape, a lot of those guys, football guy, everybody loves him right now, and I think he is good at his job. Everybody's talking about the mechanics. So I would not be concerned about the mechanics unless we start seeing them. If we see him against San Jose State, he's back at home and it's going up against a Spartan team that should have nothing for the horns. That would be really concerning. But I've never seen that nonsense in my life. That was the most surprising thing out of the entire game.
Well, yeah, some people got mad at us, right? They were like, "You guys said Arch was going to be good." It's like, dude, all of my thoughts. I'm not listening to Feinbaum. Like all of my thoughts are from the all 22 that we have of his games. Like he's confident. His feet are tied to the routes. His drops are perfect. He's keeping the arm tight when he throws. Yeah. He's finishing standing upright. He's not doing weird like wannabe Mahomes stuff. Like that was totally different, and there was no way to project that because we had never seen that. There's nervousness in big games, but total mechanical breakdown from a Manning who's had elite quarterback coaching his whole life, right? Knows the importance of mechanics, focuses on that. That was the weirdest part, hands down, for me in the entire game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go back to our first practice report every year. We roll B-roll and we try to get as much of Arch Manning as we can. Nobody's ever gone, why is he throwing sidearm? Because, it's just never happened before. I would have pointed that out immediately had I seen it in late July.
Well, especially too, right? Like one of the big things I was really hard on Quinn for all the time was a lack of mechanics. So it's huge to me. And that's why I was excited about Arch because I was like, we're seeing great mechanics and consistent throwing. But yeah, man, that was weird. And everyone picked up on that nationally. It was like, what's going on with this?
Yeah, he's human. He's allowed, I guess, to have one bad game. You never know. Like until you put in that situation, you're the starter on the road, number 3 team, good defense. Like nobody knows how you're going to perform. You can what you expect, but until you get out there, it's a bit different, right? And so you're just trying to overcompensate for a lot of things, probably mentally that's going on too. You just never know.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of Space Jam lately because I made the mistake of getting my kid into Michael Jordan, and he always laughs when Charles Barkley loses his ability, and Charles goes out on the court and he's getting punked by these 12-year-olds. That's kind of like Arch. Like he starts throwing sidearms. He starts throwing so hot. Like the hardest pass he threw all day was probably a 5-yard route.
Yeah.
It just was so uncharacteristic. You just have to shake your head, and you just hope that it's not in his head now, even more so. And Sark has to go on a mental reclamation project like you would normally see with a kicker.
Yeah, and I feel like, man, the mental side of that, just after the game, you just get with Arch and you're like, what the hell was that, man? All right, like we'll figure that out. But just like we know that's not you. So whatever that was, get rid of that. We've seen that you don't do that. So you worry about the yips, right? But we'll see. We have 3 games of getting reps and seeing what's up. But that was you just couldn't anticipate that. And all the people in the media that are like former quarterbacks, like really do study film, not hot takers. That everybody's like mechanics look great, and then they didn't. So that was very weird. As far as running back explosivity, I agree. We ran well, 160 yards. We still need to see yards after contact, making guys miss one-on-one, those kind of aspects. It's hard for fans. Also, there's players that become representative of a larger thing. You hear our reporting, Trey is a team leader. He's a hard worker. Fans love that. So if you have any type of on-field critique of that player, it immediately draws ire. We love Trey. We're just saying there's some aspects that we should improve in. And if Arch is struggling, we need those guys
to improve
in. So that's a big factor. We need to limit big plays on defense. I thought we did that well, minus Tate.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I think we could say that was successful. I mean, yeah, one play to Tate, beat Gilbo off the line pretty much.
Yeah.
Ball was underthrown. He just made a great play on it. But when even, the funny thing when I wrote that, I was thinking more about the BS play that we see from time to time. Ronald Jones had it again when Texas played USC right before the half. Travian Henderson did it last year. I was thinking more along those lines. I wasn't really too worried about the deep ball. But yeah, Gilbo got beat there. But I think overall they did a good job.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely on that.
All right. We got Eric. Address this because I've been hearing this narrative a lot too. I don't know where it came from.
I know where it came from.
Who was it?
Because he does this little thing, and everybody thinks he's got a shoulder injury. Well, are both shoulders hurt? He does it for both shoulders, and he did it last year and the year before.
Yeah.
But I've heard this. I knew that was coming too. I started seeing him do it. Now he's on a bigger stage. Everybody's going to start. I knew that was coming, but it's nonsense.
Okay. So, yeah, no hidden shoulder injury.
You think Arch got hit at all in August? That guy didn't get hit at all. It's all August.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a big – but, yeah, I'm hearing that too.
Does it with both shoulders. It's just silly.
All right. So limit big plays on defense, check. Yeah. Everything else, not a check. But it is what it is.
If they just have the better quarterback, they win that game. I guess it plays out that way a lot, but it's just that simple. Nobody's talking about the issues that both game plan concerns and stuff like that. It's just that's what that game boiled down to. You don't want to put it all on one person. Obviously, the end result falls at Sark's feet, but it just came down to his quarterback wasn't ready to play.
For sure. All right, guys, before we keep going. Some things just go better together. Burgers and fries, Friday nights in Texas football, and now Academy Sports and Outdoors and Whataburger. Your favorite new tailgate combo is coming in hot. Academy Sports and Outdoors is teaming up with Whataburger to fuel your pre- and post-game traditions. It's a match made in Texas. Score your limited edition gear at Academy. Get everything you need to host your own Friday night tailgate. Canopies, cornhole boards, jerseys, stadium seats, and more. Shop exclusive Academy and Whataburger gear while it lasts. Dig in now. Okay, cool. Let's look at 3 changes that Texas could potentially make over the next few games. I thought this was an interesting piece.
Well, I'll preface this by saying, I don't pretend to know more than these guys that are making millions of dollars. I have tremendous respect for what they do. I have tremendous respect for the amount of time they put in each week, the knowledge that they've accrued over time. This is just me theorizing, but it's after a conversation I had with a well-known coach that has a pretty good idea what's going on at Texas. And so we kind of came up with these 3 things just in conversation of talking about the game.
Big dog gridlock,
man.
Worst number on all of sports.
I tweeted. I think I tweeted out. He needs to get it. He can pick whatever number he wants now. He doesn't have to be 29. But now, the way that guy's balling, he might turn 29 into a cool number.
I was gonna say, dude, give him a couple of years, it might be 7, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So first thing, we kind of touched on this a little bit. Scrap bully ball in the red zone goal line. So Eric takes this screenshot. Is this from our video?
Justin sent that to me. I'm not sure.
It's from our video that we did Sunday. So This is what I'm talking about. We have 3 guard, center guard. They have 4 down linemen, 3 safety linebackers, and 2 edges sitting here ready. It doesn't, dude, you could have 1,000 people on the perimeter of here. It doesn't matter. The play happens here, and that's where you're outnumbered. So that's a big factor. So less bully ball on the goal line. Should you be able to get one? Yeah, unless it's 3 on 8.
Man,
yeah. Spread them out.
I thought we snapped the ball way too fast too. I thought we were hurrying for no reason. I mean, he could have scanned over and looked and see where the gaps were, but he went kind of hiked the ball kind of quick and just went to the right side where more numbers were.
Yep. All right. So enough with the bully ball. Try to get more creative. Spread guys out. Let's see the motion on the goal line, man. Like we see the motion everywhere else. Let's get our leverage plays going in that situation. Also, if you spread out, now the draw is easier for Arch to run up the middle. There's a lot of factors. I know you want to – I mean, we barely got the QB sneak the first time too. So it's not like we had great success with it prior. So big factor. Let's get more creative, particularly on the goal line. I liked the inside the 20s type play calling. But this particular inside the 3, we probably need to reevaluate after a few years.
Yeah, bully balls never worked for Texas. Even when they had Bijan and Roshan, they weren't good at bully ball. Yeah, they just have never been great at it at Texas, not in a long time.
Yeah.
Spread them out. Herman was really good at spreading them out and finding the numbers advantage and going with it. Like you could throw a screen there depending on what the alignment is. You might have 3-on-2 out there, or it's going to be more preferable inside, depending on where the defense is. So just spread them out and take your best option.
Yeah. Big boy football, who wants it more? Yeah, if it's 3-on-3, but the 3 guys we have could want it quite a lot.
You're right. Ohio State just wanted it more. That's so stupid, dude.
They have 8 guys that want it more over our 3 guys that want it more. So that's this is a schematic loss. This is not purely tough guy stuff.
Sheesh.
So this is the one that I thought was interesting, and I don't disagree. I think it's cool. And you were kind of a little bit tentative on Gilbo even on the Sunday show a little bit. So that's interesting. Of course, he gives up the Tate thing, but Grayson Littleton, who answered the call, Ohio State targets the freshman first on a crosser to Jeremiah Smith across the full field. Yeah. He's able to answer the bell. Then they turn around the next play and take Ennis on a slot fade down the field. So not only are they targeting Littleton, they tried to gas him on the play before and then target him. Still answers. So that was a huge aspect for Littleton. So maybe he can actually be the corner. And then at that point, is Jalen number 3, or do you move Jalen to star? What are you thinking, Aaron?
Well, yeah, I mean, Grayson is obviously a cover corner. They haven't played star because that's where they need somebody, and that they felt like Gilbo made too many mental mistakes there. But I think you can guard Gilbo from the mental errors better at star than you can if he just gets cooked on the outside, like on that Carnell Tate play. I don't think that play happens to Littleton. Mm-hmm. But I would still, and a lot of people say, well, why don't you just leave Littleton at star and play Kobe Black? Because you're still going to play your third corner quite a bit. So that would still have Gilbo out on an island, and teams might set up a shot on him at that point. So I think if you put Gilbo back at star, protect him more with safety help, then you've got a guy out at Littleton and Kobe Black, 2 guys that you trust out there, and of course Muhammad on the other side.
Yeah, we got caught in single high on that Gilbo play. Taft goes to the other side of the concept to focus on Jeremiah Smith, and he got beat off the line. So he did get beat. He was able to recover on the underthrow and make the nice, but the point still remains that he did get beat initially off the line there. It happens, but this is an interesting adjustment. Also, I worry that we're putting so much stock in Littleton after one game, but also this is not just one game. This is a year of sourcing that are like, I'm telling you, this guy's legitimate. So,
well, you can see that he's got some serious twitch. Mm-hmm. His makeup speed, his quickness, like those are elite traits. And what did we hear about when Texas got the flip? That he was a faster Malik Muhammad. And I think we definitely saw that he's faster than Malik Muhammad. I think maybe not as technically sound yet.
Yeah,
I love the fact he does not panic. I mean, he got beat on the cross with Jeremiah, but the makeup speed to get back into play was like phenomenal. Like you said, he doesn't panic. He didn't panic on the slot fade, and then the big third down stop because Ohio State was trying to run the clock out. He chased Ennis across the field and made a key tackle in the open field. Like most freshmen can't do that. Like what I'm saying, they may tense up and not make that play, but he was right there, right on time. The game wasn't too big for him at all.
He looks bigger in pads than I thought too. Like he looks more built than I originally thought, which was interesting. Maybe that 29 makes him look wider. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy in the world, so that's actually another reason to play him at corner because we know that star puts a lot of wear and tear on him.
Yeah. So that's going to be a factor with Littleton. That's going to be interesting. I thought the DBs overall were more physical. I thought they were walking the line, of PI. Look, refs didn't see it. I didn't either. I'm not a snitch, But I thought Texas had this tendency to kind of just play off a little bit, let guys get the ball and then tackle. I thought we were more rough. I don't know if that's an Akina thing or what happened, but we were more physical too with receivers than I'm used to. And I like that. I thought Ohio State was really good at that too. Yep. And I've always been jealous of that play style. So that was kind of cool as well, getting a little handsy, that kind of thing.
Well, the referees let them play. And both, I think both DB coaches said, all right, they're going to let you hand check.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought the refs were smooth across the board there. I thought the refs didn't interfere a bunch. It was pretty much just kind of pre-snap stuff. and then really egregious stuff they had to call. Increase the electricity at running back. So why would we need to, Eric? We ran well, dude. What are you saying? This doesn't.
They left a lot of yards on the field. I think the O-line blocked pretty well. I think that's maybe not great, but they just lack burst. They lack big playability. I think they need to get Christian Clark more involved.
Yeah, I was waiting on him to get in, get a carry or two, because I thought Baxter was carrying guys for 2 or 3 yards extra. I thought, okay, you can wear him down, and you put Christian Clark in, he may be able to break one of these things and go to the house. But
yeah, and is that just natural young guy coming off an injury slowing things, or is there, is he aware of the offense? Does he know what's up yet?
Yeah, it's just he hasn't really played. That would have been his first carries ever. Would have been against Ohio State on the road. I guess Sark didn't want to try him in that, given his lack of experience. And Sark, when Sark mentioned, hey, this is basically his freshman year, that kind of told me, okay, he's not feeling as confident in Christian Clark as he is in a guy like Grayson Littleton, which if you could play Littleton, I don't know if there's a great excuse for not playing a running back. Running back is one of the positions that you can typically play early, provided the ball security and don't even have him in a situation where you have to pick up the blitz. That comes later.
I thought Baxter did well at that.
Man,
Baxter
he showed good awareness. He made a couple blocks where it was. I think the guy came from somewhere where they weren't expecting. He still picked him up a time or two.
And Arch trusted him on the check downs. Like Wisner got a couple, but it was Baxter a lot. Like when they did check down, it was Baxter. The problem was Baxter wasn't making guys miss on those check downs. They were tackling him as soon as he got it. But Arch seemed to trust Baxter in that side of the game more for whatever reason. It was also in the second half where they started checking down more to try to exploit the overuse of cover 3 Patricia was running. So, yeah, that's a big factor. I'm excited about Clark. I have since high school. So, yeah. All right, guys. These are the 3 changes I'm down with. Now let's just talk broader. What do we want to see? So I've watched San Jose State. Just real quick. You're going to see a ton of empty 10, 11 personnel. They have this little slot that's a problem. His name's like Squidero. And he's fast as hell. And they'll get him on slot fade. So what you're going to see, the defense is going to see a ton of really spread offense and quick passing, quick outs, that kind of stuff. And then they will send the slot fade. So I think the DBs are actually going to have more fun. They're going to be tested more because this is a spread and shred offense. We didn't see a ton of – we kept the cap on Ohio State, but Saint also didn't push the ball downfield. It wasn't part of the game plan. No. San Jose State will. So we want to see a lighter opponent that at least does have a passing emphasis to see what happens when guys are taken out of the box, and they're going to end up in a lot of one-on-ones in coverage too. So that's going to be an interesting part of San Jose State, I think. As far as their defense, even on the offensive line, it's like most of them weigh like 200 pounds. Like
the Mount West line.
Yeah, the size difference is just crazy. So originally, and Eric mentioned this Sunday, hey, look, these next 3 games, man, we're about to see the 4th string guy. Maybe, but I want to see a lot of the 1st string as well, because we need Arch and the receivers' connections to get stronger as well. So are we kind of changing our outlook on what to expect these next 3 easier games?
Yeah, I think the number one thing we want to see in September is more symmetry with the passing game. First of all, Arch has to prove that was a fluke when it comes to mechanics. And then he needs to get better at getting through his progressions. And we're not talking about – and we know he has the ability, but these were some bad misses. He needs to get more comfort in the pocket. He got rid of the ball when he still had time on a handful of occasions. I thought the offensive line was really good with pass protection. And so he's got to get more comfortable in there, get from his first progression to his second progression and be like, oh, wow, this guy really is pretty wide open. We just need to see more comfort in the passing game. That's the number one thing for September for sure.
And I expect Sark now. So earlier in the game, there wasn't a ton of outlets. We were really kind of focused, sending guys downfield and doing crossers. And then Sark realizes I need to give my quarterback better stuff underneath that are not just pure check down flats. And he does that, right? Like you saw Wingo on the mesh and he spikes it. There's Sark does that. I imagine the game plan now is Sark is going to keep someone low, crossing on the run speed, just to give Arch a quick outlet. That's going to be an important aspect. Someone mentions here, I don't feel this strongly about it, but it is a point that I want to hit. Muhammad needs to stop crying about receivers pushing off of him, just keep playing football. So there is, first off, Muhammad was rough with Smith and was getting away with things. That's fair game. So Smith plays back and he does OPI and shove him off. But the problem I have with that is Muhammad starts talking, like trying to speak to the ref. And like, at first I'm like, is he mad at the other defender and coverage? But anyways, the play is live. Yeah. And he's still running. And we saw that versus Clemson. Like they would make a catch and he would turn to like, get on somebody. I go up to your guy quietly or whatever, but you especially cannot be doing that while the play is still live. You have to keep your composure in those situations. And also said, that's fair game, man. You were touching on Smith on a lot of those routes too. So that's just what it was. But I noticed that as well, but I wouldn't put it this harshly, JW. So that's a factor. Can they get away with bully ball when not playing elite defenses and save the red zone plays for Georgia, Florida, SEC championship playoff? Sugar Daddy asks.
I don't think you're saving plays, my man. Like, this is the perfect time to work on your red zone offense these next 3 games. Like, throw everything at kitchen sink at your red zone offense and try to fix it when you can. It doesn't matter who you playing. It's all about you at the end of the day, what your efficiencies are and how good you are at running certain plays. So, don't save any plays whatsoever. You need to perfect everything you got.
Look, man, if we looked lights out versus Ohio State, hey, don't show a damn thing. But this team needs rep versus bodies right now. So it's like, I don't care about hiding things. I care about getting reps. So you could play bully ball and not show anything. But once again, we need to rep for those good games in the red zone because that bully ball is likely not going to work. So why are we going to rep something that won't work against the better competition? So I'd like to see us actually utilizing these next 3 games to get better and not play the long game coaching wise like we normally can and do.
Exactly.
Let's see here. I want to see us rack up some sacks the next 3 games. San Jose State is, like I said, 5 wide, empty type of stuff, and they get it out really quick. Yep. It's going to be hard to do, and then they're going to sprinkle in that fade whenever you have your DBs keep sheeting up. I don't know if you'll see a ton of sacks. What you could see is a ton of interceptions. So Eget in the first half, he throws 2 interceptions. He should have thrown 2 more, and then he fumbles in their own end zone and backs them up. So
I see a ton of batted balls too. Like this is fans don't ever really adjust for whether or not there's even an opportunity for a sack. They had a couple of chances on Saturday. Sure, they flushed the pocket. Julian was smart, got rid of it. But for the most part, they were getting it out quick, and you kind of had to expect that coming in.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a consistent game plan for every team. Like, there's no coach that's going to come in and say, let's hold the ball versus Texas. So that's going to be something that's probably a little bit frustrating. But guess what? If coaches are adjusting their game plan, the edges are having an effect. It's not on the stat sheet, but it's affecting the game plan. That matters too. I don't know about the other teams. I haven't scouted them yet. But San Jose will likely – now the difference is if we can test these early throws and get them behind the sticks, now they're in 3rd and 10. They have no choice. So you can see it there. But Eget has this problem. He has a strong enough arm, and they'll throw these deep outs to the field. Well, they do them so much that the corner just learns to pick them. I mean, there's real – like, you could get 2 pick sixes in this game, no problem. So that's going to be I'm looking more for interceptions than sacks this next week. All right. Secondary had an A performance. Yeah, but they didn't. They played well, but it's like you also want to see them with a not first-year quarterback where they are trying to go bombs away. That's going to be a big factor too. I don't think you see that till Oklahoma or Florida. But I agree, they had a great performance, and they just looked cohesive and like they knew what they were doing.
Right. Yeah, they're on the same page. They weren't tested like you would say, okay, like they were last year, right? That was a better passing attack last year, especially at that point in the season. Stan's going to become a lot better and probably be a big problem in October, November. But again, they had him in bus driver mode, and he did a good job doing that. He didn't run over any kids.
Perfect. It's perfect wording, bus driver. That's exactly what he was.
Yeah. Sorry. Analytics say go for it. Do they really? Why do we refuse to take points on the road against a quality opponent? Getting stuffed is taking away our chances to win constantly. So analytics is for us, the fans. Sark's not looking at the book. Sark's going off of we need to score. And say we do convert those threes, what do we end up with 12 points and still lose? So it's like it's that thing too that it just like you felt like, and I felt that too, like you have to score in this game. Playing conservative didn't have a ton of value there. But Sark's not an analytics guy. Trust me, from his press conferences, he's not an analytics guy.
Hey, it's a totally different conversation if Ohio State doesn't get in on 4th and goal either, right? They missed 2 opportunities on 4th down or whatever. So everybody's talking about it in a different way if they don't convert.
Yeah, good point. Ohio State was saying screw the field goals too.
Yeah.
So your opponent is also going for the throat. You can't sit back and be conservative there. So it's tricky. Football is a game of momentum, though. Disagree. Hey, it's a play style thing, man. I prefer aggressive football. Some people don't. There's really no – I can't argue with you. It's what you like is what you like. So it's how it is. It's the eternal argument of aggressive versus conservative. That's going to be a big factor. People are furious we lost 14-7 instead of taking the points and losing 14-13. That's kind of how it feels. And to be fair, guys, like once you kick a field goal, it changes how they're going to go on offense, the field. So we can't just act like that. But I still think the point holds true that this game was about going for the throat and not settling. And you saw both coaches do that.
This is probably the best excuse or reason for kicking it is that, Sark has struggled in the red zone.
Yeah. I still don't think it's enough.
I agree. Mom, I have no issue with the call. I had people in my house. Why aren't you taking the point? Yeah, it's whatever, man.
Yeah.
Why aren't they getting the yard is my bigger question.
Yeah. Sark has strong historic David Keith Williams, my man. Sark has strong historic tendencies, but unfortunately, they do not coincide with the strengths of his current team. I think he's referring to red zone here. Yeah, sure. Yeah, bully ball I don't think is a big factor here. This has gotten labeled as like Sark does this, and guess what? Georgia figured it out, Ohio State figured it out, and Sark can't adjust. He adjusts in the second half. Like he goes for cover 3 beaters. He goes to the flats. Like I've been watching every down multiple times. Trust me, It's been boring. But that's a big factor. He did adjust, but Arch is throwing it at the feet of Wingo when he's giving him easy opportunities to convert. There's stuff like that it wasn't all just one. It wasn't just Sark banging his head against the wall all game. It felt like it though. I agree. Here's plus side. We lost, but we didn't lose like Alabama lost. It could have been a lot worse on Saturday. What a weird one, man.
Gus bust, man. Gus Malzahn had that defense all over the place. They had no clue what was going on.
I was working and I just checked in on the score and I was like, oh no, my reads are off, dude. Clemson lost, Alabama lost, we lost. I was like, oh no, my preseason picks are in shambles right now. So
their big problem is they got handled on the lines.
Man.
Yeah, and they looked soft, and I'm not a big like tough guy about it, but they just didn't look ready for that.
Yeah, when the last time you said that about an Alabama team being soft, man? They're like a West Coast team. Maybe he's building Washington and Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. So I think Mike did us a little bit prisoner of the moment, right? First game is different. This is first one, but we normally schedule a real banger for the second one, and it's worked out fairly well. So we'll see because we're going to 9 games, right? That also changes the calculus. But hey, man, Texas enjoys
playoffs are probably going to 16 too. So I think they'll keep these tough games in the sport.
Yeah, and so I don't think we're changing because of Ohio State. I think we would change because the sport structure is changing. But hey, man, this was it wasn't fun for us, but it was fun for college football, man, to have this opening week. I thought it was good for the sport. So I don't think you go away from it. I think it was also on a bad year, right? Like you're starting a new quarterback, Sain's new. It's different if you the game's more exciting if you had, your third-year starter coming into it, and you can't predict these cycles whenever you schedule these games. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I thought that was a really fun way to open the college football season to see a 1 versus 3 that soon.
Yeah, it was fun to talk about all off season, right? It was a bigger, a different level of immediacy to it. It was, I think it was great. It's just, the game itself was boring. And then on top of it, the result didn't go Texas's way.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's the way the ball bounces.
Before we keep going, guys, let's hear a word from Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
All righty. What was the reason for the lack of motion, RPO, and quick game to get the offense going? So I said it earlier. The motion concept is, I don't know where it came from. The announcers, they kept repeating that. And frankly, I believed them too until I watched the tape. We had motion 75% of the time. If you look at these opening plays here, I'll try to zoom in to help you guys out. All right. You see the opening plays. Everything is 3-by-1 to start. Everything is left hash besides two middles. So we're going trips. And we're doing these kind of big crossers, right? Like DB crossers. We had a sail to open it up. We spike it. Another sail, post fade, these kind of deeper concepts. And they played it well in 3-by-1 because they know that there's the only part of the field you can run crossers to now is the boundary because everyone's at the field, right? So everybody's waiting for these crossers. So that's where the game plan went wrong very early. It was deep and it was predictable early. We start later on to go into short passes and we figure it out. That's why you see the second half look a lot better. But that's a big factor. There was motion. I know it didn't feel like it, but there was. I would have liked to see a little bit more quick game too. But even with the quick game, Arch was sailing it or throwing it short. So Sark was going through for the throat early, but that's Sark early. So we adjust. The opening stuff was a little bit confusing. They throw a little bit of disguise in here early as well, that kind of stuff. A big theme too, a lot of bluff pressures. N is no pressure. B is a bluff. Y is yes, they actually send 5. So they did a lot of this stuff. It's called a penny front, where you have 5 guys down and you have 1 linebacker. They did it a ton. It's very common in the NFL right now. But then you mostly drop. So I think their bluff pressure rate was about 50%. Of that 50% of that was real. So 25% real pressure, 25% bluff, and then 50% just not even showing pre-snap, don't send the guys. Right. So that was also a big factor. Basically, man, if you watch NFL YouTube, like tape breakdown, this is what everyone's doing in the NFL. They're doing penny front, then they're dropping guys out, and they're just finding cool ways to get into cover 3 or Tampa 2, which is a variation of cover 3, even though it's called Tampa 2. It's actually from the cover 3 family. So this is just modern NFL defense right now, and it works against pros. And it clearly works against college. But once again, 28% disguise. Don't overhype Patricia's magicianry if you can avoid it. That's a big factor. But I thought if you just watch the second half of this game, you'll be like, man, Arch is missing some stuff, but you feel a lot better about the scheme. You feel a lot better about the adjustments and attacking their coverages. It's really important. And then we can find some way, Eric, to get this integrated, because I also denote everything that happens on the play. You know, there's a lot of stuff where like Moore just falls down and Arch now has to swing into
I saw that play. We have to turn this into an article because there's a lot of stuff that this is slaying some narratives. I think it's good work.
Yeah, and then there's the coffee house, right? And I don't know why it's called that, but all it is a delay, and it worked. But they send a corner, and then they make I think the linebacker act like he's not doing anything, and then he's able to basically get a basketball screen from the edge. That's another thing that's popular in the NFL. Like, this is very much pop culture NFL defense that we just saw. It's really common. But I have everything here. The targets become more interesting. You see Livingston become far more integrated later.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we can build on. I think they have really good connection. Arch trusts him. Like on really big downs or big throws, it was Livingston. There's one, it's the Livingston touchdown. Moore is wide open in the middle of the field on the crosser. He can throw it. Arch is like, nope, I'm throwing the fade to Livingston. Arch gets tackled on one of the scrambles. He gets slammed out of bounds. He goes off his feet. The first person to like run over and like legitimately concerned is Livingston.
There's checking your roommate.
Yeah, there's like a real connection there. Let's build on that.
Yeah.
And then Wingo, I said earlier on Sunday that like Wingo's not coming back to the ball. He does start coming back to the ball later in the game. He starts trying more. I think they were just disconnected. But the more I watched Wingo as it went on, I thought he grew up as well later in the game. So
that almost interception that they reviewed and overturned, Wingo's fighting for the ball as much as the DB.
Yeah, so
Wingo might have actually tipped the ball as well. So he was right there, and you can see arms outstretched. He was working back to it.
So this was a thing too. When I first watched, I missed it. I was like, he should have flattened the route. I got more on Wingo. And then when I could see the end zone copy in all 22 and see the angle better, once again, Arch throws it way too damn late. And he throws it he lofts it. So that again, I think I was harder on Wingo than I should have been on rewatch. Still some little receiver stuff, but it wasn't as bad. I thought Wingo played far better than I realized in my initial statements.
On that same play, though, I thought his legs were kind of dead. I don't think he can get into the route. I mean, sitting out some in fall camp, I don't know what his condition was like. I'm not bashing for being like under condition, but you can tell in the route he couldn't snap it off. Like his legs looked dead during the route, so I don't think it was as crisp where you can push the corner off. And the corner made a great play on the ball because he wasn't threatened to get ran off either.
Yeah. So yeah, I felt, and injuries too. Guys, we can build on this receiving room. And Moore, wasn't a big factor because whenever he did throw it to Moore, it was just like in the dirt. There was no chance. There's plays where Moore is open, Arch goes elsewhere, and then there's plays where they try to target him and it just goes into the dirt. So there's really, you can't even evaluate Moore in this situation. So we need to see that more. Arch just needs to chill, man, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, so this conversation is just so entirely different if Arch plays average.
100%. If Arch hits second and fives that are right there, this game is different. The whole conversation's different.
Everything changes.
It was pretty rough.
They win that game with Shane Buechele.
Yeah. Did Patricia show too much? Is it possible that Sark has enough info now to craft better plans for the better teams in the future? Well, I mean, it does seem like the answer, and Vanderbilt did this well too. Cover 3, man. You keep a post player, it limits our focus on the post, right? And then if you can make backside defenders, safeties, and corners anticipate overs, we'll run our receiver right to them on those crossers. I think that's a game plan that Sark has to know is kind of out now. But once again, second half, Sark adjusts. He's not just beating his head against the wall. But I do think you design more things for that because it should be common. Now, the funniest part is, the game plan's out. 90% of teams still aren't going to utilize it. So we're going to run our system, and Sark's going to cook you. But did I think Patricia showed too much? No. Like they would walk a guy up at the line. You would go, wow, they're going to blitz, and then they would drop to cover 3. There were like 3 plays that I legitimately. There's one where they have a guy at a line. He just runs to Tampa 2 linebacker like across the field. That's cool. That flashes. And guess what? It's been on everyone's breakdown of how good of a disguise. But really, when they showed aggression, you should know that they're doing that to disguise.
Right.
So as a young quarterback, look, when you see 5 on the line, they're dropping to cover 3. It's really not that complicated, but it is overwhelming in that environment for a young quarterback. So
I thought we went a little bit of tempo. They couldn't communicate as well, right? They learned a new defense. Those guys couldn't get lined up. I think we started moving the ball well. I thought we were going to see more tempo stuff, but I mean, I think that's something in the future maybe you can work on. I feel like if Arch gets in that rhythm with a little tempo, people can't just line up and say, okay, this is coming. They can't really communicate that much. And then shout out to Nick Townsend. Eric, I don't know if you saw it, but he had a slam block come back across the back of formation and let the defensive end up, dude. Man.
Yeah. That was his one snap, I think.
God, it's okay. Here we go.
Yeah, get him on the field again.
We went more tempo in that second half, and it generally worked because, like we said, you see downs, and if you gave them time, they would communicate.
Yeah.
Well, and the only time it worked against us one time because they weren't lined up, so therefore we couldn't even see what the coverage was. We tried to run this angle route to Wisner and almost throw it right into the defender. So it's like you need a mix of tempo, but they still need to declare quickly enough, or else we don't even know what the hell we're looking at. So it's a young quarterback thing that's been a little bit tricky. So this is the thing, right? Major issues. You guys are delusional.
Hey, and then when Texas rights the ship or plays a lot better, these guys improve. We'll never hear from Benjamin Banner ever again.
Oh.
This happens every year.
Well, it'd be different if I was just on here like everything's good. But I mean, look, I've seen every play multiple times from multiple angles. Like Arch needs to play better. We need to not allow cover 3 to dismantle crossers. But what's the flip side? Texas is going 4-50. Like, what do we want to do? Do we want to just say nothing is fixed? We should forfeit the season. Like, we have to now do analysis on what we can get better at. There's plenty of things.
We're never going to hear from Benjamin Banner again, dude.
Well, also the flip side is that we kill at these next 3 games, and everybody thinks every issue is solved.
I'm not interested in a false read. I'm interested in seeing improvement in the passing game, and then seeing if our analysis from those 3 games play out against Florida. You're not going to overrate. I don't care if they beat San Jose State 100-0. I'm not going to get excited about that. A good example of that when they cooked OU 49-0. I said they're going to cook OU and we're not going to learn anything from it.
Yeah,
everybody's celebrating. I barely commented after that because I didn't want to rain on the parade. We don't want false reads. They went up against a very good team, and there was a lot to like outside of the quarterback execution. 4 or 5 completions in this game is entirely different. Fans are entirely different. They're actually going to be tolerable if he completes 4 or 5 passes, and that's it. And these were not high-degree difficulty passes. That pass he threw to Injuries was probably one of the most impressive passes of the entire weekend out of any quarterback. It looked like some Aaron Rodgers nonsense, but then he couldn't hit the easy ones.
Exactly.
It all boils down to him not hitting easy throws or getting to his second read. And then the entire narrative about this game is, OSU had trouble. They couldn't cross the 50 twice. Everybody's talking about that. What are their problems on offense? And it would have been all it would have taken is 4 or 5 more completions. So saying the sky's falling over a quarterback playing poorly is nonsense. Those people are emotional. They probably don't understand the game at all. And they're going to be miserable. And they only come out when things are bad. You never see them when things are good.
1,000%. That's why I hate giving predictions too, because no one ever comes back and congratulates you on a correct prediction. it's always the flip, So I hate doing game predictions for that reason, because there's no upside to it at all. So.
I predicted 23-13, and obviously I was wrong. But Texas left.
Luckily, I'm not. I don't have to do the round tables. I like not being on round tables because I don't have to do it. Here's a big thing that I want you guys to pay attention to in the next 3 weeks. And this is kind of a bummer, but it's a reality. When you play bad teams, you really can't get excited about what you do well. It almost doesn't translate. You can focus on what your scheme is, but what you do poorly, you should focus on.
Right.
That's what you need to pay attention to, right? Like A&M wins versus UTSA, they get ran all over.
Man,
that's what I'm interested in there. What's up with that run defense? How is UTSA able to run all over you? You need to pay attention to the weaknesses. So Texas throws 40 touchdowns, but we can't run the ball versus San Jose State. Now you need to go like, what's up? So pay attention to the weaknesses. Those do generally come back to haunt you. The strengths don't really mean that much in these next 3 weeks. So that's a big factor. You also hear, it's early in the season or blah, blah, blah. Remember when we couldn't get in on the goal line versus Wyoming that season? You can see things early, but it's almost always a weakness, which is a bummer, but it's just the reality. So that's how I want you guys to think about these next 3 games. It's important to know that, and I like to say that before they occur.
Yeah, but let's see some accuracy from Arch so we can, kind of debunk that issue he had. He's normally an accurate quarterback. That was just an all-out breakdown. Yeah.
Where sources just like, what the hell? Like, we didn't see that coming. Like, what was the reaction in Texas world from that?
Well, going into the game, they said that, they could win that game with a good bus driver and defense, and they didn't get the bus driver they were expecting. Everybody was surprised at his lack of accuracy in the mechanics and all that. They weren't overconfident. They weren't thinking he was just going to go in and light it up. But they didn't see the guy they expected.
Yeah. There was one presser where some journalists asked Taft, they were like, is Arch going after you guys in practice. And then Taft was like, yeah, but he was basically hinting at like, this defense is really good, man. And, Arch might need a little bit more time. And we clearly saw that. I think the most horrific thing we realized this weekend, guys, is that Arch Manning's a human being.
That's it.
And that was it was hard to see, but it was. So, all right, guys. Well, I think we're going to do something with this breakdown here that I have so you guys can see it, man. Like, it's not sexy to have to dive into the gray, but just beware, guys, of just running with narrative or the narrative of like, we didn't have any emotions. It's just not true. So be wary, guys. You don't.
If Sark doesn't call a play that the NFL isn't copying 2 days later or the next day, everybody's like, "Oh, he's off his game and he's playing conservatively, or he had a bad game plan."
But it's also like, look, man, you come out and your quarterback looks like someone you've never met.
Right.
That also changes what you're going to do, right? You're not immediately thinking we need to do the crazy stuff.
Exactly.
It's like, I need to help my quarterback. I don't want him to have a bad game versus the nation. So that also completely alters your play calling to try to protect him when you didn't expect you needed to do that. So,
yeah, if your kid keeps getting in trouble, you don't extend him more rope and hope that he handles it responsibly.
True.
If they're getting in trouble, you rein them in. You simplify everything. You give them a curfew.
Yeah.
You don't reward the screw ups with giving them more rope.
But yeah, still, we'll wrap it. But congratulations to Ohio State. I thought Patricia had a really fun defense, and most importantly, I think that secondary is incredible. I thought their communication was awesome. I do want to give flowers to what we saw there.
They deserve to win, and you can't get too mad. To me, when the other team deserves a win, you just tip your cap and figure out what Texas did wrong. But they played better; they deserved it. Maybe Texas will see them again.
All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. I know the world's ending this week, but guess what? We got San Jose State. I'm tired of talking about Ohio State.
Yeah.
I've been watching those boys, breaking them down. We will talk about that tomorrow morning on the Tuesday show with Paul. We will dive in. Chat. Thank you, guys. I'm getting feedback. I'm sorry for that annoyance later, but go to InsideTexas.com. You can join for $1 single for a full week, and you will get a complimentary year to the one and only Athletic. Guys, thank you so much. Eric, Coach, let's have a fun week. Let's get some more pep in our step. Peace out, everyone. This was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors.